Well, what a way for the NFL to change course, Ricardo. Jalen Hurts signs a 5-year, $255 million extension with the Philadelphia Eagles just after he took them to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they did lose. However, as we've already talked about before, Ricardo, it was a very balanced game. It was a very back and forth game. What we're going to be talking about today mainly is Jalen Hurts, this contract, and what this does to impact the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL as they continue to get signed or are waiting to get signed, much like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the biggest news that anyone's heard in a month, and it has a lot of effects, not just for the Eagles, but for a lot of NFL teams moving forward. I can't wait to get started, Jose.
Let's get right on in it. I'm Jose.
And I'm Ricardo.
Welcome back to RJ Talks. On Monday, Jalen Hurts, the third-year quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, signed a 5-year, $255 million contract with just shy of $180 million guaranteed. Ricardo, what exactly is your take on this? Do you think that Jalen Hurts has earned this kind of money?
Before I answer that question, Jose, because my answer will lead to that, just to put some perspective into this, we started this podcast just a little over a year ago, and one of our topics leading into the summer of that year was this Philadelphia Eagles team, and topic being, can the Eagles make something of this offense? Will Jalen Hurts be the franchise quarterback of this team? Can he show that he has what it takes to be not just a starter, but a franchise QB for this team? Well, it's safe to say that question has been answered with an official stamp, if you will. An official stamp by the city of Philadelphia with that contract. I 100% believe that he's earned this contract, not only because of just this past season, but because show me a better leader than him. He's one of the best leaders for a football team, like in the league, bar none, no question. And it's very hard, Jose. Very, very hard when you come across someone that humble and that much amount of leadership with a good amount of talent. And you'll know this, Jose. Does this remind you of a guy back in the Northeast that kind of played for your team, that showed he was the hardest working player on the team, but was also one of the greatest leaders in the NFL? Does that remind you of someone that you know?
I might have heard of this guy. Yeah, this Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. that I might have heard of so many times over.
Yes, and one thing I want to compare with him, traits, mind you. Don't get crazy, everyone. I'm not losing my mind here. Traits is that two quarterbacks who are subpar talent level with throwing the football when they first got into the league. Very much had to work at their craft to get at the position that they're going. And the improvement that Jalen Hurts has made in 1 year, based on his second year to now, is astonishing. And I honestly see him getting a little bit better each year, just trying to get to an elite level. And he knows who he is. He knows how to play his game to an effective level. And I don't think the Eagles are going to regret signing him to this long-term contract, because look at other teams now, how much they're struggling to find their guy. Philadelphia has found their guy for the foreseeable future, and I'm very happy for him, to say the least. That's my initial thoughts on the contract.
Also, not to mention the fact that, Ricardo, he's signing this contract at 24 years old. 24 years old. At this point in time, he's pretty much set a record. He pretty much beat out Patrick Mahomes for the highest annual contract value, right? So Patrick Mahomes signed this contract in 2020, a 10-year contract for $450 million, that kind of extension. So the previous record, that was the previous record set by Patrick Mahomes. So at this point in time, it's looking like Jalen Hurts is going to continue making that kind of money if he continues to produce that way. So, and if he's on this track of improvement that he has been on for the past 3 years, there's no question that he's going to be passing that, Ricardo. There's no question. And what's great about it too is that you've already seen, based off of a scouting report, I did go ahead and pull up a scouting report from him, or that was written up for him, right? We see a lot of these strengths a lot of these strengths for him were recorded, and we have seen these things this past season. Top talent as a runner, a very effective scrambler. His athletic profile can lead to predictable coverages, accurate on outside the numbers, shows good touch on throws, and throws a catchable ball frequently. On and on and on and on. Shows poise in the pocket. These are all things that we have already seen this past season. So if he continues on this track of improvement, where year one he was throwing just over 50%, right? Granted, he didn't have as strong of a team as he does now around him, but at this point, he's worked exactly with what he was given. And Jalen Hurts now, Ricardo, what did we say at the very beginning of last season, or even before last season? All of the pressure was on him because the Philadelphia Eagles did everything they possibly could to build this star-studded and powerful offense around him. And he ran with it, quite literally.
Absolutely, and this just goes to show how much character takes into a football player, specifically in the NFL. Everyone knows this story, but I'm going to bring it up again for our podcast so the viewers understand just how amazing this story is so far. So he was highly recruited out of Alabama, did great, led them to the national championship, gets benched at halftime for his backup, Tua, who's currently playing for the Miami Dolphins. And they win the championship game. They win the national championship off of his backup in overtime. And then that next year, Tua's struggling with the game, and they bench him to put Jalen Hurts back in, and he leads them to win the SEC championship. So my point that I'm bringing this up now is, like, this guy's career could have gone one of two ways. He could have either. Obviously, we saw the positive route that it took based on that moment. When he was a sophomore, when he was a junior in college, and he got benched for the underclassmen, he kept working, and it ended up working out completely. But it could have gone the other way around also. He could have transferred. Well, he did transfer. I'm saying he could have shown his real colors as a teammate. He could have just not been as successful in the NFL. But that was a turning point moment, Jose, where I believe that drives him to this day to be the very best that he can and to be a good teammate. And the franchise clearly sees that. They awarded him this contract only after his third year playing in the league. And not to mention, great for Jalen Hurts. This is a smart move by the Eagles, Jose, because the salary cap, as you mentioned before in the previous episodes, is only going up. It's going to keep going up. So as it's going up, you're going to get more room, and contracts set now are going to be seen like, okay, that was kind of like a deal. You know, it's not as bad as it seems right now. It's like, oh my God, the most expensive quarterback. No, it's gonna look like a deal, and it's just a great to see, Jose. Great to see from Jalen Hurts. And as far as, like, to the people who say, oh, it's only 1 year of production. Well, he led them to the Super Bowl, and he made one mistake that whole game. That time he lost the ball, and it got returned for a touchdown. But other than that, he was lights out. He was going throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes that game. An instant classic Super Bowl, how it ended up being. So it's just, I agree with you, Jose, completely, as far as he's still showing potential to improve. It doesn't even seem like he's hit his physical prime yet as a player. He looks like he's figuring out what to do. But once he gets, we both agree that there's still room for improvement and that he's going to get there, pretty much.
100%, yes. And it's going to be, he set the bar very high this past season. He ended with these kinds of stats, just over 3,700 yards passing, 22 touchdowns for 6 interceptions. He was tied fourth in the league for interceptions, and a QBR of 66.4. He was also fourth in the league for that as well. But we, from time and time again, Ricardo, you and I say this, we don't expect these monumental stats from these kinds of players. We expect them to be team players. And that's what sets them apart from some of these other guys that just want to put up numbers. All right. Now, I won't say names, but for Jalen Hurts, he was a team player through and through, Ricardo, and it seemed to have paid off for him as well. He knew when to step up and take those kinds of plays where it required him and him alone, and it also. Yeah, but he was humble enough to pass the ball off if he needed somebody else to run it off. He went by the playbook, and that's exactly what had happened. There was trust all around. Those three heads of the snake, Ricardo. What did you always say? The quarterback, the GM, and the coach. It seemed like they're all on good terms right now, and there's really no other direction. There's really no other direction than up if he continues on this track of improvement.
No, absolutely. There's nowhere to go but up for him personally as an NFL quarterback. Now, I know that what do we always say, Jose? We got to modify expectations. Teams always adjust to the new kids on the block.
Exactly.
The defensive coordinators find weaknesses to work about it. So it's going to be on Jalen Hurts to tighten up those weaknesses and work and try to make them his strengths. That's what we say. That's what we said about Tom Brady with the weaknesses turning into strengths. That's what we said about Patrick Mahomes as well. So in order to go into that next category of the elite quarterbacks, like top of the elite, you got to keep it going. You got to find a way to ride that momentum and do whatever it takes to still stay on top.
It's interesting that you also bring up weaknesses, Ricardo, because at this point in time, based off of that same scouting report that I was referencing earlier, one of the biggest weaknesses is that they rarely see him manipulate defenders with his eye placement. So that's one big thing, for sure. Is that something that you had observed throughout this past season as well, or did you observe some other things too?
We're pretty much like to me, it seems like he's still like trying to find his flow, like trying to like. It seems like he's doing a better job of it, but he still needs to anticipate a little bit more. He's done a hell of an improvement of anticipating from year 2 to year 3, but I feel like with that added off season, he's gonna make it look automatic. Like it's not even thinking. There's times where you saw him like wait and like for coverages as far as the weaknesses, and that's what you can point to. But if he becomes automatic and he just makes decisions like automatically, like we see the Mahomes and the Burrows, it's gonna put him on another level.
100%. I agree with you. Definitely. So when you say anticipation, Ricardo, you mean just waiting for the plays to develop a little bit further as opposed to making those snap decisions and just getting the ball out of the hand just to get the ball out of the hand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. To bring up the anticipation, so I'll try to simplify it a little bit just for the people, because you and I, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
The people who don't know what I'm talking about is that in the NFL, obviously, you have the most elite athletes with the most elite schemes being used. So you have to make quick decisions, and they have to be almost inhumanly quick at some point. So what I mean by anticipation is that what you see the difference between college and NFL quarterbacks is that college quarterbacks wait for guys to get open. Then they snap and throw the football. When in the NFL, a guy's still running his route, and you might not even see them open at the moment. But as soon as you throw the ball, the play starts to work in sync to where that ball has to be perfectly placed in the right spot against the right defense. And that's what anticipation is. And that's how there's a term, Jose, called you throw guys open. And that's what the elite quarterbacks do. You throw guys open with the defense and you anticipate what it's looking. You see it very much, Jose, in the playoff games because pretty much everyone's covered. And it's just a tight window of space that the quarterbacks have to force to get that ball through. Now, anticipation goes both ways because you can't anticipate one thing, but the defense is anticipating that you'll do that, and that's how turnovers and interceptions happen.
Right.
So anticipation pretty much means is that you have to make sure you make the right decision against the right defense on the right play, because that's how mistakes happen. Some people think like, why did he throw it there? Like, what happened? It's like, well, if you see when the ball's snapped and you see what he's trying to do, it looks like it's going to work, but the defense fools him. And it's like, or he just like didn't see what the defense was doing, and he just thought that he could get it through there. So that's something that Jalen Hurts could definitely improve on. Now that he know that he's set, like for his money, like now that he knows that he's made it in the league, he can add more stuff on top of his game and just be that much more dangerous as a passer. Because one of the things that's great about his game is that he can anticipate more, because a lot of defenses, Jose, will anticipate him running the ball as a dual threat quarterback.
Right.
He's a great runner, so it forces guys to stay in a spot. And once he figures out the weaknesses to those spots that guys stay at, he'll be able to get rid of the ball at a great pace. And anticipation is key in the NFL. It is king. I mean, we see it. Who's the top quarterback in the league, Jose? Patrick Mahomes, and his anticipation is second to nobody. Joe Burrow's up there as well as anticipation with the quarterback. Josh Allen sometimes is as well, but he takes too many chances when he anticipates things.
Yeah,
close.
His tendency to be bold really just overtakes his play for sure, more often than not. And last season we did see a lot of that, and that's why they didn't make as deep of a run. That seemed to be the principal reason as to why they didn't make as deep of a playoff run as even we had anticipated, Ricardo. So
absolutely,
we'll go ahead and leave it there as far as what Jalen Hurts' future looks like, what his past has looked like, and what just happened to him right now. It's a great opportunity for Jalen Hurts to continue to improve, and my goodness, he has earned that contract money for sure. As a year 3 quarterback at 24 years old, he's living the life right now. So now we look forward to what this next season will hold as far as his talents go, and leading into our next segment, also how this impacts the rest of the NFL from a business perspective.
And really quickly, Jose, before we cut it off here with Jalen Hurts, who's the best quarterback in the NFC East right now? It has to be him.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt.
Division. Yeah, there's no question. Like, it has to be him at this point.
Yeah.
So the Eagles, understand that, we have the best quarterback in the division. We got to keep him now. Solidify now, because they learned from the Cowboys' mistake of waiting until the contract of the rookie year ends. So, they got him signed in the 3rd year as opposed to waiting until that 5-year is done.
Yes.
Smart move by the Eagles.
Yeah, 100%. All right, do not go away for our next segment, everybody. Now for our next piece of news. With this Jalen Hurts signing of $255 million for 5 years, how does this, Ricardo, impact some other contract situations? Much like the hot topic of these past few weeks, Lamar Jackson. How would that impact him? How would that impact the rest of the league? What is your take on this?
I think with this contract, it very much sets a new standard for guaranteed money in this league. Because I remember a time, Jose, when some guaranteed money was sometimes half of the contract, not even like less than half, as far as like extensions go. But with this precedent, even though it's not fully guaranteed, but it's heading in the right direction, like they're starting to like chip away a little bit at the owners. This contract, Jose, it's like, I would say close to 3/4 of it, fully guaranteed for Jalen Hurts. It's starting to move into that progression of fully guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks, and you'll see more players get to that situation. Now, the interesting topic about it, I'm not even going to bring up Lamar because I'll bring him up at the end, but I'm bringing up these new guys who are coming in. Jose, who do you think is better between these two guys, Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow?
That's a good question. I mean, as far as just quarterback play goes, Jalen Hurts. Balanced quarterback play, yes. I would say Jalen Hurts, yes. Yeah, for balanced quarterback play, now better passer, I would give that to Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. Better quarterback, Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert?
That's another good question. Man.
Yes.
You know, and it's just, it's not a simple yes or no. I mean, they're better in some ways, but worse in other ways. Yeah. So
exactly. So, yeah. So my point being, Jose, is that those are the two main guys who are going to be up for contracts this season. And you know how competitive these players can get, Jose.
Yes.
I guarantee you that they're not going to admit it. They're too much of modest quarterbacks, like, and that's what we love about them. They'll never like say this publicly, but you know in the back of their head, like, you know, I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that guy. I deserve to get more than what that guy got.
Oh yeah.
And Jose, this is with two notoriously cheap franchises in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Chargers. Two notoriously franchises that have always stunk when it comes to like signing and keeping guys. So my point being is that this contract sets the precedent for young quarterbacks and guaranteed money. Which, if Jose, there's guys that believe that Joe Burrow is like a clear-cut better than Jalen Hurts. Some people think that Justin Herbert is a better quarterback as well. You and I think there might be like closer when it comes to like play. Like you said it, they all have weaknesses and strengths than some of the other guys. So my point being is that I think, Jose, it's safe to say one of these two next guys is going to get $200 million guaranteed. I don't know who it's going to be. But based on this quarterback, as far as guaranteed money goes, because Jalen Hurts got $179, like you said, one of these two guys is going to gun for $200 million guaranteed for within the 5-year contract, and that's my prediction as far as how it's going to go. It's going to be at least $200 million guaranteed, and that's going to set a precedent because $200 million guaranteed contract money in the NFL is going to lead. It's going to lead to better contracts down the road for the next generation after these guys. So that's the biggest impact business decision that it's going to make, because these owners are going to have to get that money ready in their accounts, because guaranteed money, Jose, you know this, but some people don't know this. When you guarantee contracts for some money, that means it has to be ready in the account at the time of signing, so it can be transferred over to the player's account.
Yep.
And that's what the main thing is that they have fully guaranteed contracts for players, but they don't have fully guaranteed contracts, but they have fully guaranteed portions. And those portions are going to be very important. But what we noticed, Jose, when it comes to the recent years from GMs, they know how to manipulate the cap. So that way they can give the players money, but that way it doesn't affect the cap that certain year. It'll affect it down the line, but that's what you get from a business perspective. Now, with Lamar Jackson, just to bring it, put it into perspective, this young black quarterback, after one successful season, got the long-term contract. Lamar Jackson is still fighting for his contract. So there's an argument to be made, Jose, that if I'm Lamar Jackson, I could call one of the owners if I really want out of the Ravens. Give me that exact same contract, or give me $2 million guaranteed from that exact contract, and I'll play for you. Because it doesn't seem like so astronomical now, because you're starting to see like more and more quarterbacks get similar amount of guaranteed money. I mean, Kyler, Lord knows I don't think he deserved it, but 150 guaranteed of that contract that he signed. Now Jalen Hurts 179. It's going to just increase the number more and more. And that's the biggest thing, is that guaranteed money. And we might not ever get it in the NFL, Jose, but you know my thoughts on it. I think they should, but we're heading towards that direction. Slowly but surely. Maybe by the time we're 60, they'll get them.
So the entire point being is that with these two quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, they are the ones that are going to be up for this kind of contract money. And they very well could earn that, right? But the larger point, the bigger picture here, Ricardo, is that this affects the social structure of the NFL to a degree where a lot of these players are going to be expecting that same kind of money, if not more, maybe more.
Yes.
So now with this Jalen Hurts signing, it seems to be that Lamar Jackson is going to be expecting this exact kind of money like he has been expecting this entire time, right? And he's going to push for it even further because this just happened. So we could expect this Lamar Jackson business to develop within the coming weeks, probably about these next 2 weeks, right? Well, as soon as that attention is taken off of the draft.
That's another key thing. The draft is going to affect this Lamar Jackson situation, whether he's going to stay with the Ravens if they decide to move forward with another player, or whether other teams just make other decisions at that quarterback position. But pretty much this is making the Ravens look bad, Jose, because it's doable. Like, it's not outlandish. Fully guaranteed contract, $230 million. That's ridiculous. Okay, well, what about 225 but 179 guarantee? It's proven. It's been done now.
Yeah.
But it's like the ball's on the Ravens' court. Like, are you willing to give a similar contract to Lamar? Don't you think he's earned it? This honestly might help Lamar, like you said.
Yes. This very well could help him out. All right. Now that it's been done, all of the pressure is on Baltimore. And it is fair to say that. Because everything that they have been doing up until this point has been to arguably the detriment of Lamar Jackson, right? He's not getting contract money. He's not getting paid, although we have seen him earn that on a regular basis. All right. Now, he hasn't taken the team to a Super Bowl. He hasn't taken the team to a very deep playoff run, but he's still making some significant strides towards that. All right. The Baltimore Ravens have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ricardo, I haven't seen them make any significant moves to develop the offense either. Have you seen that?
Other than signing injured Odell, that's the only move I've seen them do.
Exactly. Yeah, we had seen that as well. But number one, Odell is injured, and number two, he's getting up there. He's not the prime Odell Beckham Jr. that we had seen in New York or Cleveland for that matter. So it's going to be difficult for him to really do anything, right? And Odell had one of the best games of his life in LA during the Super Bowl 2 years ago before he had gotten injured. He had a great game, but he got injured, and it was unfortunate. Had he not gotten injured, Ricardo, I now remember you saying this, he would have been the MVP with the game that he was having.
No question. Yeah, no question. Like, he was outshining Cooper Kupp that day until he got hurt, sadly.
So with that track, what I'm getting at is that with that track of Odell Beckham's injury history, as well as his age increasing, he's only going to get slower and he's only going to get more ineffective. And I only say that so bluntly because he is getting older. All right. I'm not saying any of this to down him as a player. He is a fantastic player, and we have seen that time and time again. It's just age does not make you better. In this league, age does not make you better. And to quote Shannon Sharp when he was talking about the incoming retirement of Tom Brady, all right?
Yeah.
Age doesn't make you better, right? You don't get better with that. It's just, it catches up to you. And unfortunately, I don't really see Odell continuing to develop or even improve with Baltimore. This seemed to be just a half-assed attempt to try and keep Lamar Jackson.
It really does, Jose. And like the thing about really quickly what you mentioned about Odell, let's just be honest about it too. He's a skill position player, and skill position player requires peak athleticism.
Yep. Along
with superior football IQ to produce at high level.
Yeah.
He has the football IQ still. You could argue he's gained more football IQ, but that athleticism, it's on the downhill. I'll be nice to it. Maybe it's not at his peak, but it's at halfway point heading downwards.
Yeah.
Because people got to understand, to the average fan, people who've never gone through injury, an ACL can be a career-ending injury for a lot of people because they just have a certain amount of athleticism, and an injury like that could destroy it completely. Now, what makes these pro athletes so special is that they're so darn athletic that when they get injuries, some of them could come back. And that's a feat by itself. But you're never the same after that. You are never the same after that. You could, if anyone could ask Odell today, do you think you're more athletic right now or before you had these injuries? It's no question, right, Jose?
Yeah.
No question.
It's not. Yeah.
So you add that, like you said, Jose, with age, it's a cash grab. It's a name grab. It gets people excited. It's like, oh, it's Odell, and he's still famous. He's still widely famous. You could argue he's getting more famous. So it's just a wide attempt to get Lamar to get excited. But like we spoke previously, Jose, Lamar's going to be gone. I don't think there's a situation where he's coming back and playing for the Ravens this season. I could be wrong. I've been wrong on a lot of other things. Newsflash, I'm human. I'm not perfect with what I say is going to happen.
Yeah.
But no, I completely agree with you. It's just a lame half attempt to try to get Lamar to come back. But Jose, I wouldn't put it past the Ravens to try to trade up to get a quarterback. If they're really that done with Lamar Jackson, then they want to go the cheap route for quarterback. Maybe Anthony Richardson falls in the draft and they try to get him another athletic quarterback. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching too far. Maybe I'm stretching too much to try to predict something, but I could see it happening.
With what 100%, we could probably see that happening. The larger point being is that with this guaranteed money that Jalen Hurts was signed and given, Lamar Jackson is only going to push that guaranteed money further. All right. With the Baltimore Ravens approaching Lamar Jackson the way that they have been this past month and a half, it seems like, or hell, even later in the regular season, when the season was over for them, I don't really see things changing, and I don't really see things resolving. Like you said, Ricardo, I could be wrong as well. And with those two just being so at odds with each other, it just doesn't seem like it's really reparable unless Lamar Jackson agrees to drop that money. And with this, no way is he going to do that. There is not a chance at all that this is going to happen. So it really could only go one of two ways. It seems like either one, Lamar Jackson just leaves, right, and leaving the Baltimore Ravens without any current options as a quarterback, and that gives them the freedom to shop around. Or two, the Ravens just release him.
Honestly, Jose, and I might still be reaching towards a situation that could get resolved at draft night, but this is what we talk about because draft night is 1 week away, and you better believe that we're gonna be watching that. But New York Jets still haven't made a move at this point.
They haven't. No.
And one could argue that they might pay Lamar. They could pay Lamar less than what Aaron Rodgers is getting because Aaron Rodgers is going to get 61 this year.
Yeah,
61 million in his contract. So this is what makes it so interesting because two guys who have had, you could say, an equal amount of success. Obviously, Jalen Hurts got the playoff success, but Lamar Jackson got the regular season success. Still great success.
Yes.
But it proves that contract's not impossible. I think, Jose, the owners were trying to get back to the ways where it's we'll just give you 100. Be grateful with that. Like, it's fine. 100 guaranteed. You're the quarterback. Nothing special.
Right.
Oh, no. Like, they're all going to be pushing to push that number up because this was a median point that, like, because the Eagles are not idiots, like, they're like, we got our quarterback. We're not going to, like, go through that desperate rotation again. So let's just do it. And it's what I brought up, Jose, in our previous episode with Lamar. One of these owners is going to get desperate soon. They're going to be looking for Lamar, and they're just going to be like, I mean, he could change the way our franchise is looking. I would look like a genius. Like, the fans would give us, like all the time in the world to try to be successful.
Yeah.
Great.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all of these things continue to develop, Ricardo. Speaking of quarterbacks and quarterbacks potentially leaving or getting shopped around, we have a big piece of news, or at least rumor, right, where the San Francisco 49ers are starting to shop Trey Lance. So we'll see what exactly happens there and what our take is on this next segment. We're going to take a short one. Don't go away. as we have previously mentioned, the San Francisco 49ers are starting to shop Trey Lance. And especially after a season where he was injured and Brock Purdy made quite the splash in the offseason. What do you make of all this, Ricardo? What exactly is the game here?
Well, to be honest, Jose, I think San Francisco's starting to realize, we're kind of stuck in this tough situation here. We gave up so much to get this guy, but we've had success with the guy we had to get nothing for. So now they're like under the Flyers. And granted, guys, let's say this again: these are rumors. But Jose, to quote a movie that you and I both love specifically, I love rumors. Facts can often be misleading, but rumors show more light, whether towards one way or another. Movie being you know what movie I'm talking about.
So
give it the credit it deserves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with Trey Lance, it's looking like all of the eyes are pretty much on the San Francisco 49ers now, right? And seeing what exactly their next move is going to be with Trey Lance, right? And since if he does get sent somewhere else, they can get some kind of reimbursement, right, for all this cash and draft capital that they put down for him. Brock Purdy was looking like a very solid quarterback and a very solid starter for the San Francisco 49ers team, because not only did he perform in the regular season, he performed in the postseason, where all of the pressure and all the lights were on him. And the Niners had lost a game against the Philadelphia Eagles simply because Brock Purdy was injured, right?
Yes.
And it was unfortunately too late for him to salvage it when he did come back into that game. They got destroyed. However, they had some kind of chance. They showed some semblance of a great competitor going up against that Super Bowl bound team.
Absolutely, Jose. And as far as what these rumors are telling me, it tells me one of two things, and both can be true. Maybe this is why it's happening. It's saying either one, that they think Brock Purdy's injury is not that bad, that they think he's going to be able to recover relatively good and still have the same kind of velocity as the ball, like relatively still be similar to himself after the Tommy John surgery. Or two, they've seen Trey Lance for a couple years already, and they don't think he's going to get that much better. Like they think he's got that athleticism and a talent to flash here and there, but they might think he's not going to be able to produce it in the time that they need him to. Because Jose, correct me if I'm wrong, but San Francisco is still a favorite top contender to come out of the NFC, are they not?
Yeah, they are. They still are. I mean, if you were to take Trey Lance out of the equation, you still have so many weapons at your disposal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just, the thing is that Trey Lance is definitely and I remember when they drafted him, and some guys told this, he has a tremendous potential, but can be very much similar to a project kind of quarterback. San Francisco doesn't have time for a project. They need a win right now.
They do.
Their team is not going to be as great as it is right now, all around together. I mean, George Kittle's only going to get older. Deebo Samuel's only going to get exposed to more hits, and Christian McCaffrey, don't wish injury on anybody. My bed frame is made of wood, everybody. I'm knocking on it right now because I hate when injuries happen. But the point still stands is that you don't know what could happen in this league, and you want to try to win as clear as you can right now. Now, the only reason I don't think that they pulled the trigger yet on this, Jose, is because I don't think they're not sure they're going to get the right compensation for Trey Lance, and then they want to see how Brock Purdy does in rehab first, because he's still recovering, he's still healing, and they want to see how he looks throwing the football in practice, and then we might get a decision sooner rather than later. However, they could push it out. Like we both thought they were going to do it. They could push it out to preseason and see how either guy looks.
Exactly. If they're shopping him right now, Ricardo, I really like the perspective that you bring up. I mean, because it makes sense, right? It would make sense that right now the Niners need to win. And I think at this point they've already given Jimmy G a chance, and that's why he's gone. Mm-hmm. And then they gave Trey Lance an opportunity as well. Granted, he did get injured, right? But they had seen a good amount from him these past 2 years. The past 2 years. So it's safe to say that they have been around him and they've spent time around him enough, right? And it seems as though with the trajectory that they're trying to go in, they are trying to win, and they have the capability to win. The only thing that's really floating up in the air, and this is an issue that has struck so many teams, unfortunately, is the quarterback position. The New York Jets are facing this kind of strife right now. The Baltimore Ravens are facing this kind of strife right now too. Granted, they don't have the weapons that say the Jets do or the San Francisco 49ers do, not even close. But the point still stands, is once this quarterback position is thrown so far up in the air and there's so much uncertainty, the Niners, I understand the Niners' position in that they do not want to wait anymore. Because they've been gunning for that since the last time they made the Super Bowl and they lost against the Kansas City Chiefs. They had an opportunity to do that. Unfortunately, they didn't. They lost. So at this point, they have the strongest team that they have had in a very long time. And they don't want to squander that opportunity.
Absolutely, Jose. They don't want to join the Buffalo Bills of the '90s as one of the strongest teams to have the strongest teams to never win a Super Bowl. The '98 Minnesota Vikings, the 1980 Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, it's like they don't want to be part of that company as far as elite teams that never got over the hump, and they're very close and in that danger to coming to that.
Now, granted, I mean, just to be fair to the 1980s Cincinnati Bengals. They didn't face a Joe Montana. The Niners aren't facing a Joe Montana, but like Joe Montana-sized threat. However, Patrick Mahomes isn't too far from that. Jalen Hurts is not too far from that either in early stages. But the point being is that I need to give some fairness to the 80s Cincinnati Bengals since they did face one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So
absolutely,
yeah.
But the point still stands, Jose, is that like if you were a Cincinnati fan, like we lost again to Montana, but we can still do it. You know, we got to the Super Bowl twice, and
nothing.
Now, out of relevance for over 20 years until they drafted Carson Palmer and they got Chad Ochocinco on that team, and then they became a little bit relevant again. But the point still stands is that's one of the great teams that didn't win it. And then the Minnesota Vikings with Randy Moss. You had Randy Moss and Chris Carter on the same team, and you did it, and you didn't make it, and you didn't win a Super Bowl. And that's my point, is that like they're one of the more talented teams in the league. I mean, you and I both agree they're stacked at almost every position.
Yes. Except
quarterback. And that's why the news for Jalen, to tie it back into the theme of this episode, which is Jalen Hurts, that's why the Eagles paid so much money for that quarterback. Because then you're going to you're either stuck in misery and misery as these bottom placement teams like the Panthers, the Texans, even Arizona, as far as like finding your quarterback, or you're stuck in purgatory like the Niners are. You have all that you need at every position, but in this game, you and I both know you need that one position to be at least good to win.
Well, hell, even us, Ricardo, the New England Patriots, that quarterback situation is also in limbo too. So, I mean, there's so much going on there. I mean, they're shopping Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi might be the quarterback for next season. But I digress. The San Francisco 49ers are tired of waiting, and rightfully so. They need somebody to lead the charge. And quite honestly, Ricardo, I'm not in training camp with them. All right, you and I are not making these business deals with them. So obviously they know something that we don't. All right, they recognize the fact that they have one of the strongest teams in the NFL, and it is fair to say that, is it not?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Any dummy can see it.
Yes, exactly. My like a half blind grandma sitting at the top of the stand and the nosebleeders in the stadium could see that as well, right? They're just a phenomenal team. They are a phenomenal team. Rightfully so. They're running low on patience. And they have to do everything they possibly can in order to make that happen. They saw that potential with Brock Purdy. They saw the potential that he had brought, and they saw the effectiveness that he brought, the poise that he brought. So I don't blame them for having their focus be singularly placed on him. I don't.
Absolutely, and like they have to be careful how they play this, Jose, because if they execute it properly, they could get a first rounder back for Trey Lance.
Yes.
Tell a team like, hey, he didn't work out. Like, we got our guy with Brock. Like, he still has all the athleticism in the world. Like, we definitely go for it. You can make an argument that, like, he's better. Quite frankly, Jose, I would take him over Will Levis out of Kentucky.
Oh, my gosh.
People think it's going to be the next Josh Allen of Anthony Richardson. So the point stands, like he still has the potential to groom and improve, and there are some teams that need time to develop. That's the one thing the Niners don't have, which is the point of this little segment, is that they're out of time.
Yeah.
They do not have the time. They need to do right now what they need to choose. However, if they play this wrong, they could end up having to release Trey Lance, and then Brock Purdy still gets hurt. Not wishing that, but like that's the worst case scenario for them. And quite frankly, I think Kyle Shanahan, his ego about himself is so big that he's like, well, that's why we have Sam Darnold. I can make anybody look bad. We'll have Sam Darnold take care of the team until Brock gets back, unless it's something devastating.
Yeah.
So, but this adds to stuff in the draft. Like Jose, you could make the argument that maybe a team in the first round is desperate for a quarterback and they trade that first round pick to the Niners for Trey Lance. That has happened before. Teams have traded away their capital of right now for a player that they think is going to be a sure thing. Now, granted, this is receiver, but we saw it last year. A.J. Brown from the Titans to the Eagles.
Yep.
Exactly that. So it's just very interesting to see. And like you said, Jose, we don't see these guys every day. Like, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So, man, it's going to be a very interesting offseason and draft night, to say the least.
And these rumors are, like you said, to preface this entire point, Ricardo, they're shedding a lot of light. They're shedding a lot of light on this situation. And the Niners, as we continue to reiterate, are out of time. They can only do so much. So with that being said, I think the Niners situation is only going to continue. It will only continue to develop, and we're here for it. 100%. We are here for it to see what exactly is going to happen with San Fran.
And because we're wrapping up with the 49ers, I have to get this off my chest because you know where I'm going with this. So let me talk about another NFC West team, but is at the bottom and desolates of the dumpster fire that they are right now. I mean, where do I start? Do you mind if I take this whole?
Go right ahead, man. Go right ahead. Yeah, I love listening to these rants. They're fantastic.
I mean, do I start with the fact that they have baby faces as coaches? I mean, guys who are not that much older than you and me, that are both around the age of 40 at head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Like, okay, all right, you're going young. Sounds good. Or the fact that our best offensive player wants out, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, I have his jersey hanging up in my closet here, Jose. D-Hop.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to take over the reins for Larry, and he would be the one receiver to win a Super Bowl for my team. I was wrong. Clearly, I'm a lot. And the fact that our best defensive player also wants out. I want people to understand how horrible this is. Buda Baker, the team safety, top 5 at his position, minimum, is the most humble guy that you'll ever see on a football team. He's the most team-first guy. He is the most like, let's rally the troops and let's win. And he's like, we won as a team. I lost the game. I should have played better. That's the guy you strive to have in your franchise, Jose. The fact that he wants out shows me that this team needs to be sold to another guy. It's just cursed with the Bidwell family. They're not going to get anything done under this regime, and they need to sell this team to another billionaire and start the culture altogether, because this stinks to the high heaven, Jose. It is ridiculous. It just gets worse after worse, and then I have a disillusioned quarterback that thinks people care about his rehab when they really don't. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, you can squat again. Congratulations. Are the teams on fire? Like, no, you're not going to do anything for the next 2 years. We're going to be stuck with your contract. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing. It's like even if when his rehab ends and he comes back, it's like, what are you coming back to? And what exactly are you going to do to make it any better?
Jose, to bring some point, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're like besties, right?
Yeah.
Like quarterback and receiver have the close relationship.
Yeah.
Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have that relationship.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have that relationship. Hop wants out. He doesn't care if Kyler wants to rehab. He doesn't care when he comes back. He wants out. He has seen enough of this garbage of a team. And it's just going to remain to be garbage until the team is sold. And this is what scares me, Jose. Dan Snyder from the Washington football team, it was notoriously known as one of the worst owners of all time, as far as like scandals, cheapness with players and the football team. Jose, the Cardinals players, it's been reported they have to pay for lunch in the building. Patrick Peterson confirmed, he's like, yeah, it's fun not having to pay for lunch every day, right? Are you kidding me? You force your players to pay for lunch in your building? I mean, what is this? Is this elementary school at a rough part in town? You're forcing your players to pay for lunch? Nothing's free, like nothing's up to date with the facilities. It's mind-boggling to me, Jose, and this thing is cursed. I think, honestly, we should have an honest discussion if Arizona deserves to have a football team or not. I mean, the only bright spot in this franchise's history is Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner in those years. But for the past 20 years...
That is a long time ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Sheesh.
A long time ago. It's awful. It is ridiculous. Now, the only thing, Jose, is the only thing that would make me laugh even harder. If for whatever reason Bidwell gets desperate enough and he ends up drafting one of these quarterbacks with a number 3 pick, I would lose my mind. Could not stop laughing. I'm like, okay, this team clearly has no sense of direction. Nobody knows what they're doing, and I'm all here for it, and I'm going to laugh and enjoy and drink my heart out as I watch them fail for the next, I would say at least 3 years. At least 3 years to go for this, because it's...
Oh, my gosh. And it's already been 15. And it's already been 15. It's already been 15 since they went to a damn Super Bowl.
It's been a long 15 years, Jose. I think that's why I got some of my gray hairs early in my life.
Yeah.
Watching this team play. Man, I mean, it's just, it's Jose, and I'm not kidding. I saw this today. This is why I had to rant about this team. So people who don't know about ticket sales, typically if you're a season ticket holder for your team, that means like you waited in line and you have a bunch of money. Like, they're not available to everybody. When those spots comes, they're few and far between, and you have to snatch on them quick to buy them. Jose, the Arizona Cardinals posted on their Facebook that you could be a season ticket holder today. Today. So what that's telling me is that no one's going to be at the games now. The people who, they're not going to waste their money watching this garbage. Why would they? So it's incredible. It's awesome to watch. Jose has his forehead up against the table right now because it proves my point at how ridiculous this franchise is as of right now. And Jose, you know those 80-year-old fans that they show at Super Bowls that have been waiting their whole lifetime for their franchise to win one when the team finally makes it?
Oh, yeah.
And that team ends up losing?
Yeah.
That's going to be my life as a fan. I already know my fate. I've come to accept it. My team's not going to do anything unless I'm proven wrong, but it's really heading towards that way. let's see, I'm only 26 years old. That gives them 54 years to get it right. They couldn't get it right in the first 64 years of this franchise's history. I think the team's either going to get sold or voted out to another town by the time I'm that age.
So there's just not going to be an Arizona team. Man.
At this rate.
Sheesh. I mean, at least these Arizona fans have the Suns to fall back on. I mean, let's be 100% real here. But even then,
man.
Oh my gosh, jeez, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm very happy, Ricardo, that we get these regular updates on the team as well. All right, a team that has been outside of the spotlight for some time, and now we know the reason why is because it seems to be failure after failure after failure. Yeah, and who could have saw this? Who could have seen this coming? Like, who could have seen this coming, Ricardo?
I don't know, Jose. Who's the one who said it? Like, they went 7-0 and collapsed and wet themselves on national television. It's only going to get worse from here.
Who predicted that? Who could have predicted that?
Some weirdo that you and I both know. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Clearly, he doesn't know what he's talking about with his own damn franchise. Oh my gosh, dude, wow. I mean, there's no. It doesn't seem like there's any shining light there, except for DeAndre Hopkins, and he wants to leave, and Budda Baker, and he wants to leave too, because they're both smart enough to know.
He said, and I quote, like the report that said, it's like, I would be willing to go with a team that has no chance of winning for more money. Other than that, I want to go to a winning team. So they don't even want to pay the man. My goodness.
How does it get this bad? How does it get this bad? We had been talking about this, Ricardo, even off the mic, but well before we started this podcast. We had phone calls time and time again talking about the situation with the Arizona Cardinals, and up until it's only gotten worse. It's this collection of things that have led to this result.
Yep, and I'm going to quote another movie here because I feel like this is the only line that perfectly describes how I feel about this team right now. The movie's called Moneyball. It's an excellent movie. I recommend that everybody watches it. Even if you're not a baseball fan, it is a great watch.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna modify the quote here a bit. It's like, there are great teams, and there are poor, and there are bad teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us. The Arizona Cardinals, baby.
Oh my gosh. How is this even possible? And I can't believe it. I can't believe any of this, Ricardo. That any of this is happening right now to a professional football franchise.
And Jose, you know what their shining grace is? You know what, like, they keep trying to hype up to the fans? We're getting new uniforms. What do we got? What are they gonna be?
It's a great new uniforms. That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
I mean, what's that saying, Jose? You polish a turd, it's still crap.
It's a polish. Yeah. They're doing everything they can to polish a turd. Holy crap. Well,
yeah, I had to get that out before the draft because otherwise it was going to ruin the whole mood. But yeah. Final thoughts, Jose.
Especially like you said with the third pick. If they end up picking up a quarterback. Oh my gosh. It's like, wow, great. The thing that you guys should have done 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Well before that.
This is how I know it's going to be a disaster. This is the 1 year out of the 15 that I've seen that I want them to draft the outside linebacker because I love Will Anderson, and I think he's the best player in this draft other than the quarterback. This will be the 1 year they're not going to draft an outside linebacker when it's the best player in the draft. You just watch. Mark my words, they're going to do something stupid.
Well, we can't wait to see that as well as everything else live next week Ricardo. Very, very exciting. Very, very much looking forward to it. With that, everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us at RJTalks_11 for more updates on all of our uploads. Thank you guys so much and have a good night. We'll see you next week for the draft.
See you guys.